My name's Nathan. I'm an associate principal at Elementa. I know what you may be imagining. Here comes a set of certifications of various things. It's time to say something in the least. But I'm happy to say this session will not reflect what will hopefully be a dry view on certifications. It will be an interesting and hopefully inspiring presentation, which will look at some of the new and challenging environmental sustainability certifications that are on the market, and will hopefully excite and invigorate you and get involved to apply a slightly different view or approach to the work and the projects that you're working upon. Unfortunately for the UK, what was once a pioneering section has now been absorbed into general practice and regulation. It's just what we have to do. Sustainability is what we need to do for planning. What was once at the cutting edge and an innovative area of work may have fallen slightly out of fashion. In the UK, we've entered an era of compliance, of just doing enough, of mainly working to catnip, cheapest available technology, not inviting prosecution. And this is primarily focused on what we'd have to do. As building design professionals, we have a fantastic opportunity to inspire through the work that we do and the work that our peers do. We can use these to inspire our clients and our colleagues with inspirational precedents, no matter where we find them. We can use these precedents to continue to drive innovation, providing fresh ideas and approaches to design challenges. So, for example, on this slide, we have 3 projects from the US and the UK. They are all being certified under the same process, the Living Building Challenge. One is a school, one is a visitor centre, and one is an exhibition centre. And they are all designed to be truly sustainable, built around their users, with careful consideration of the materials that are being used and the design responses that they have initiated. As you know, there are a wide variety of standards, considering all scales of development, from cities and master plans down to the materials and products that ultimately go into the development. This multi-scale perspective is very well demonstrated by the USGBC's suite of LEED certifications, where there is a whole range of certifications now available, from LEED for new construction, now at version 4.1, being piloted, to interior design, with both of these options looking at new build or looking at refurbishment, through to larger scale developments through LEED for neighbourhood development, onto the recently launched LEED for cities, which looks at the measurement and management of a city's consumption, such as transportation and human experience within those spaces. There is a wide variety of standards and certifications out there. The ones shown on this slide are just a few, but it's not exhaustive, nor is it tended to be. And some of the standards that aren't shown on here, I'm sure, are the ones that you work with on a day-to-day basis. The standards identified from around the globe, or some of those which have the greatest reach, such as EDGE, which Tom will introduce later. Others are ubiquitous in our everyday work, such as BREEAM or LEED or maybe WELL or FitWell. However, there may be some shown that you aren't so familiar with. The work that we undertake at Elementa, we look to inspiration in the projects that we undertake, but also look to the international standards to develop new ideas, key performance indicators to challenge new developments, and design strategies that are going to push the boundaries of a new project. Through cherry-picking key ideas and themes that are pertinent to a particular development, we are working with the best practice and potentially understanding that can be brought to our project, whether the project be in London or a project in Mozambique. I've highlighted some of the standards that we're going to be looking at today. There are obviously some more detailed discussions this session later, such as on the Living Building Challenge and EDGE. So I won't be going into detail on those topics. Given the number of standards that are available and their focus on environmental sustainability, there are plenty of crossovers and overlaps between these different standards. And it's important to look and consider what you can do and how you can use them on your individual projects. So for the projects that we're engaged on, we looked at what strategies and lessons could be taken from any particular standard, if that standard is likely to bring benefit to our project. We also look at new standards and the evolution of existing standards in order to keep our work pushing forward. I've selected just a few examples that we have taken or we've seen recently on some projects, and these have been used to better inform the work that we're doing. So the first is a future-proofing of buildings. So this is Powerhouse. This is a really inspirational program. It's based out of Norway. The primary focus is to deliver an energy-positive building that over the course of its 60-year lifetime will give back more energy than it takes through material selections, through operational power and energy provision, through to disassembly and deconstruction. Any surplus energy that is generated is made available to infrastructure in the vicinity of each of the developments. It utilises renewable energy technologies. In this particular case, PV. So for this school, we've got PV, and there's also a geothermal connection as well. They also utilise air source heat pumps. Passive design opportunities are maximised. Fabric performance is key. Internal layout is considered, and also the lighting, high energy efficiency lighting is also provided. But what this does is it provides a building which is designed from day one to a whole life carbon principle, making sure that it's purely neutral to the environment. But what they also do in Powerhouse is this is applicable to a number of different scenarios. The first Powerhouse project in Norway is actually the one on the left, which was a retrofit. So this is a 1980s building which now has been redesigned, fabric has been refurbished, and the renewable technologies have been put in. And it's now performing much better than a traditional or a conventional house or building that we have in the UK. The two, one in the centre and the one on the right, are projects currently in planning or being planned. One is a hotel, and the other one is going to be the first commercial office. And it's from these challenges and these ideas that we can really find innovation and really drive what we're looking to do in the UK. The delivery of zero carbon and zero energy buildings, considering a whole life approach, is becoming more and more common. So recently, obviously, with the signing of the World Green Building Council's Advancing Net Zero project, which promotes and supports the acceleration of zero carbon buildings, through to the GLA's 2050 targets here in London. The next standard that we can look at and going to consider is eco-districts. This is designed to empower communities through consultation, providing social value to a project, working with people and how to realise what's required for a particular project. The way that we use this is looking at our projects and how we can engage with local communities and key stakeholders to bring to the fore the positives of each of the development. It's set into 3 imperatives and 6 priorities, as you can see. I won't go into too much detail. So green infrastructure. Looking at landscape design where we don't have a building, we've got a piece of public realm. There's a standard that we can use and apply with best practice to provide us key design considerations. And in this particular example, this is called the Sustainable Sites Initiative. This is designed to be flexible and adaptable for any project undergoing construction or major renovation. It follows a similar pattern to that of BREEAM, whereby you have a specific rating system You've got conditions that you need to provide, and then it's on a points-based system for the different systems that you put in place. But the overall aim is to drive sustainability beyond a physical building and takes it out into the landscape, whether that be a park or a natural resource. The central message of the Sites programme is that every project holds the potential to conserve, restore, and create the benefits providing in a healthy ecosystem. Unlike buildings, landscapes can appreciate in value over time rather than depreciate. Plants and trees grow, soils improve, and in turn, the people are nurtured by these environments that we put in place. Resilient design and strategies. First developed in 2012 is the RELY standard. This puts together a robust integrated design process that meets the challenge of acute hazard preparations and adaptation of chronic risk mitigation for a building or a neighbourhood scale. RELY 2.0 was recently published in December and has now been managed by the USGBC in collaboration with the Institute for Market Transformation of Sustainability. Again, a lot of these credits are synthesized with LEED and they're aligned to the USGBC. One of the key parameters that we can pick out from this standard is looking at passive survivability. So how can we instill in our design a building or a development that, due to a power outage or an earthquake or a flood, can still operate without having freely. We've actually used this strategy in some of these passive designs on one of our projects in Beirut, which is a hospital, and we designed now for it's naturally ventilated. So in the period of a power outage, the building will run as it needs to, meaning that patients won't have to decamp from the building, minimizing the risk of overheating and going on to negative health benefits. Regenerative. So this is where we're going to come on to the main piece of the presentation, which is going to be looking at some examples of Living Building Challenge. These three examples are developments that we've actually done as part of Integral Group and Elementa, one is a visitor centre, and then with 2 schools and an exhibition space. The thrust of the Living Building Challenge, which Martin will come on to explain to you shortly, is based around 7 petals, each one bringing a new and a different design intervention requirement to the design.